Alright, hey y'all, welcome back to Sitting with Ashley. I'm Ashley. We're gonna do a Decolonizing Consumerism thing right now. Oh no mas. I'm almost bilingual, just kidding. I learned a whole lot of new words today though about clothing and colors. Anyway, today I want to talk about globalization and logistics. Now, I'm doing this one opposite of how I've done other courses on here, where I usually make the workbook first and I put a lot of effort and thinking into it. Over here, for this one, we're just going by the seat of our pants, and then I'm going to use these videos to make the workbook. I have a really great layout for the workbook, but I don't have content in it. So anyway, today I want to talk about globalization and logistics. I think this is important, especially now that we're coming up on World War III or slash in it. Everyone's like, why is Iran going? Please. You bully someone, and yeah, that is what happens when you keep going after people. Yes, globalization and logistics. Now, okay, so let's go ahead and define both of those words quick so we're on the same page, okay? I have medicine on my hand. My hand is still eating itself. I don't know what's going on. Alright, anyway, globalization is the increasing integration of economics, culture, and populations worldwide, driven by cross-border trade, technology, and investment. It enhances economic growth and consumer choice, but it can cause, please, let's be so fucking for real, and it also causes environmental degradation, income inequality, and supply chain vulnerabilities. Key impacts span increased diverse cultural exchange, political interdependence, and rapid, widespread technological innovation. So that is a really friendly way of saying global colonization. Okay, colonization. Colonization and globalization. Colonization and globalization are deeply linked with historical colonialism, acting as an early forced agent of global integration through territorial control, resource extraction, and unequal trade. While colonialism involved direct, coercive rule, contemporary globalization functions as a broader, often market-driven process that can echo colonial power dynamics, sometimes referred to as neo-colonialism. Okay, logistics. Logistics is the strategic management of the efficient end-to-end flow of goods, services, and information from origin to consumption, serving as a critical component of supply chain management. It encompasses key functions like transportation, warehousing, inventory management, packaging, and order fulfillment to ensure timely, cost-effective delivery. Okay, so first thing that's coming up in my brain. You're welcome. Should we put this over here? Is it better over here? No. Maybe over here. Anyway. Is, okay, so when people, okay, so this is mostly talking about goods, right? But what it's not talking about is humans. As it came out last week, we're gonna dive into the deep shit, and then we'll kind of pull it back to talk about more other things. So when I'm reading that, I'm thinking of commodities, human beings as commodities, right? Because it keeps saying goods. But we just found out that, it's not even just found out. This is the way things have always been since colonialism has kind of taken over for the past, I don't know, 1700s? I mean, it was before that. I don't know when the Roman Empire was. I mean, I don't know. Do we use the timeline of the Bible? Regardless, whenever there was a power that went into another area, right, that's colonialism, and took up, what's imperialism? Let's look up imperialism quick. I never really use the word imperialism. I usually use colonialism or capitalism. Imperialism. Imperialism is the policy of extending a nation's power over weaker states through territorial acquisition, economic domination, or political, cultural, and military control. So it's I need a notebook. Oh, I just moved all my notebooks up here. Please hold. Girls will be girls. This is Medusa beheading someone. I love that for us. Okay, I need a notebook so I can make a photo drawing. A drawing. Been watching Harry Potter. Okay, so we have. It's not. I'm not really seeing this as like a. I'm sure other scholars would disagree with me, but I see colonialism, capitalism, imperialism, globalization. I see all of these like this. Oh, you can't read my handwriting. These are, okay, so colonialism, capitalism, imperialism, and globalization. And then I see logistics as a means for all of them, right? So if we're thinking about, think about the slave trade, like the one that the United States carried out. First they would go in and British rule would go into countries, right? It was British, France, Spain, Portugal. No, Portugal is in South America. Why am I getting Portugal? Anyway, the big colonizers would go into, so the United States was also colonized by British. Okay, there are people who like wanted to be free, and then they decided to like exert the same shit that they were supposedly running from on the population that already existed here. Fucking crazy, right? The hypocrisy of history is insane. And what's even crazier is that we're living through these times where it's like crazy, like right in our face, and people are like, "This is good." Like today, this guy came over to my house. And the fix-it guy, and I was like outside cutting up cardboard for my props, and he's like, "Hi, I just wanted to say hi," and then he like wanted to like get in a conversation, and I'm like, "No." He's like, "Trump's good," and I'm like, "Okay, no." I'm like, bye. I don't know. He's like, "I like to argue," and I'm like, "I don't. You just came to my house. You're not gonna fuck with my peace. Go away." Anyway, I see colonialism, capitalism as a means. They're tactical, right? I guess it's, I don't know, anything with an ism after it is kind of a tool or a tactic to be used, right? Militaritism. Autism. Anyway, okay, so staying on globalization and logistics. So colonialism, capitalism, and imperialism have all served for this globalization. 2020 was this turning point for our entire globe, or flat dome, if you're a flat earther. Okay, everyone's welcome here. We all have ideas. Anyway, I see the legitimacy in the flat earth theory, but I don't know. Because if the earth is flat, then that means all the planets are also flat, but people can see them with the telescope? I don't know, and I don't need to know. Mystery is okay, with me at least. Anyway, globalization is this like expansion of this Western world, right? And by West we mean the colonial powers. So again, we already talked about this in Decolonizing 101, who those colonial powers are, and I just mentioned a few of them now, right? With or without Portugal, I don't know if Portugal was a colonizer. I don't know why that came to my brain. Anyway, so Great Britain is obviously, this monarchy, right? So there's a royal family who has decided that they're going to take over the entire planet, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. And then there were like so many people, like willing participants, who were like, yeah, let me be a part of that, bro. right? Didn't Christopher Columbus get his money from Spain? I don't know. Anyway, globalization, so genocide, slavery, um, slave labor, um, famine. When people take over land, right? When people take it over for the point of, putting in their own shit, right? So what we're seeing right now is this like imperialistic bullshit, right? Isn't Imperial from the Star Wars series? Empire, I don't know. Anyway, um, globalization is this giant market. It has made everything like there's a McDonald's like anywhere, right? Like that's a good example. Did you know, fun fact, that McDonald's was actually founded by two black brothers? And then it was bought out and globalized. But it's not just McDonald's. So now we're in this space of corporations, right? So there used to be like separation of corporations, sort of corporate power and like nation state. And now, the United States has kind of been this project, this Lola. Can you please stop? Anyway, there used to be like a separation of those things, right? There used to be identifying factors, but when we're talking about like 8 billion people being the population and having like 3,000 billionaires, right? I think it's like 3,096 billionaires. Those are the motherfuckers who have established corporate rule through imperialism, through capitalism, and through colonialism, through the process of globalizations, i.e. with logistics. So let's think about how large the logistics market is. When I was in my master's program, we were in LA, and we went to the port, San Pedro port, and we interviewed a nonprofit that they were trying to support unionizing the truck drivers, because the truck drivers were contracted. And so they showed us that they would like get negative paychecks because they had to like upkeep their own trucks. None of that was paid for. So they were independent contractors, and an independent contractor gets fucked. So you have to like semi-truck driving would be like really hard job, right? Independent contractor. An independent contractor is a self-employed individual or entity providing specialized services, goods, or labor to clients on a contractual basis rather than as an employee. So when you're not an employee, you do not have, you don't get the rights. So there's no like hourly wage, and I think already semi-truck drivers are paid based on like miles or weight, I don't know, ability to transport, I don't know. But we saw negative fucking paychecks of truck drivers, because they had a tire blowout, or there was a snowstorm, not in San Pedro. Well, I mean, they go everywhere. Even, construction, all of those things, car accidents, all of those things impact whether or not people can make it to point A and point B on time, right? And that's just one profession. That's just semi-truck driving. Have you guys ever seen those fucking ship captains on fucking TikTok who go live and you're like, what the fuck? I can't even watch that shit. That is terrifying. So you've got the captains, you've got the people who, I mean, if we're talking about goods, so let's keep goods as like, not food items. Let's clothing, shoes. We touched on the humans being the goods, which we're seeing now with human trafficking, with ICE. ICE is a militarized front to provide human beings for trafficking, for moving around, and it's already been happening. I mean, it's been happening since they showed up. People have been given to El Salvador. There's countries in Africa who have made agreements. We're seeing it with Sudan and Dubai, We're seeing it with Congo and Elon Musk, and we're seeing it in Palestine too. Some of the IOF soldiers have just like taken kids. There's a lot of, and even the dead bodies. The dead bodies have also been taken. The organs have been taken. So there's like a whole other aspect of black market, dark web shit as well, right? Obviously. And the Epstein files touches on all of those things, and people are still like, that's not real. What the actual fuck is wrong with people? I just saw this meme the other day that was like, people were wondering why, or like, people were wondering why people were stupid, and they like blamed it on lack of access to information. And the meme was like, yeah, no, that's not it. Because like we have access to all this information, but people are choosing to remain ignorant, right? My mother is one of those people. I can't talk to her anymore. I'm like, that's how I feel every time we have a conversation. You know, I can only gossip about, you know, running errands so much. Anyway, okay. So you have semi-truck drivers, you have the captains, you have, and a lot of this stuff that I'm mentioning, especially San Pedro port. So 40%, I mean, and that's like a decade-old number. 40% of the goods that come to the United States come through the San Pedro port, which is in San Pedro and Long Beach area of Los Angeles County. Like if you're in Long Beach, you can see San Pedro. But a lot of those things are being outsourced to technology, right? And you've even had, since the 80s, there's news clips of people who worked at the ports talking about finding fucking babies, like dead babies in shipping containers, or hearing children in shipping containers. When Lahaina in Hawaii happened, when the big fires happened, people were talking about how they saw a fucking helicopter take a shipping container up, and how the schools like bust the kids somewhere, and like Oprah, and you know, I fully believe all of that shit. I believe what people say. I believe firsthand accounts of things more than anything else, because what you need to understand is the people who are, you know, that 3,096 people. I mean, there's plenty of other people underneath those billionaires, right? You've got millionaires and corporate leaders and politicians. That's a song lyric. Corporate leaders, politicians. It's Blink-182. Anyway, if we're fucked up, you're to blame. Anyway, yeah, corporate powers, nation state. So there's been a merging through, you know, the past 100 years, but hundreds of years, especially with the industrialization, right? Was that like the early 1900s, right? The reconstructive period of after the Civil War of the United States. So after, you know, slave labor got canceled, abolished. It never really got abolished. It got transferred. The 13th Amendment still makes slavery legal, which we talked about in the name brand in slave labor, the very first episode we did. I mentioned the 13th Amendment. But anyway, so now that we're watching what's happening now with more atrocity, bombings, Donald Trump literally quoted Lord Farquaad from Shrek, right, today. Some of you will receive your children in coffins with flags on them, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. That's insane. So 2020, remember how every fucking buddy was like, we're gonna build back better. But it wasn't just here in the United States, it was literally all over the globe. So that's this globalization. I think what's interesting about this time, especially as we are in or approaching or balls deep in World War III, is that the people of the world haven't quite, especially in more privileged countries, right? People who are obviously in oppressed countries, countries who have been colonized, people who are indigenous to that land, they know, right, that the enemy is the uppers, the higher ups. But for Americans and Israelis specifically, because they are pretty much the most privileged on the planet, I mean, I would say that I don't think privilege is a proper word. I think that the privilege is being pirated, right? Like they're stealing the privilege. They're pretending they're privileged by enacting horror and violence, right? Again, through all of these means: imperialism, capitalism, colonialism, um, with the goal of being globalization, global power, global control. Logistics, though, is this door because tech and surveillance is like the new it, right? Like it's huge, and Israel has really headed that front with surveillance of Palestine. Palestine, or Gaza specifically, has been, I should say, the fictional state of Israel is what I should say. My apologies. Um, Albeit Systems is a technological and surveillance. So when we were doing stuff at the border too, we learned about Albeit Systems. Israeli technology has always been at the border, since the border has really been, a large talking point. Albeit Systems. Elbit Systems is an Israeli-based international military technology company and defense contractor. Founded in 1966 by Elron, Elbit Systems is... What's Elron? Elbit Systems is a primary provider of the Israeli military's land-based equipment and unmanned aerial vehicles. It is an important company within the defense industry of Israel. Border Patrol Nation was written by my friend Todd Miller. Well, at this point, we're more acquaintances. I haven't talked to him in like 10 years. But he wrote a whole bunch of books about global movement, migration, borders, refuge. I had to research a report on the Mediterranean era, but it was like I was balls deep going off my big pharma, so I was like all over the place. My brain was not healed. And so it took me a really long time, and I don't think I did a very good job at all, because I was really, really going through I was like coming off of chemical shit. But anyway, what was that report called? It was a humanitarian report done by like NGOs, which is a non-governmental organization, and like nonprofits, humanitarian so like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, those are kind of NGO organizations that have people on the ground researching humanitarian or human rights shit. Anyway, so in this report, it was a huge report, and it was done by these NGOs, and it was like really based on, I think it was like all aspects of like migration and forced migration because of war, because of these tactics coming in and taking over. It affects people because they you either get enslaved or you have to like fall under this, or you can't, they buy you out. You can't afford to live there. And that's one of the reasons the migration or immigration issue here in the United States is so large, because the United States, so the School of Americas was like one of the very first protests I ever went to in like freshman year of maybe the sophomore year of college, the first time around. And we went to the SOA. It was the School of the Americas, but now it's been renamed the WHINSEC, Western Hemisphere Institute of Economic Security, or something like that. But regardless, what it is, it's at Fort Benning, in Georgia, and it's a combat training school for Latin American soldiers. So the United States Army sends military personnel to Latin American countries. The same shit they do in Africa, or Europe does in Africa predominantly. Great Britain specifically, France. Anyway, those are the colonizers, right? So they send military personnel to train the locals in, warfare, and then those people turn around and take it out on their own people. They're given incentive to, right? They're given money. They are trained, forced, coerced, blackmailed, right? Whatever it takes to get that control, and then it destabilizes the entire region, and then it makes it easier for the colonial power to go in and take over, right? What we just saw in Venezuela, which I don't know. I think a lot of this shit, they're all working together, and it's like one big fucking, I don't know. It seems like, again, because there used to be a separation of corporate powers and nation state, and now it's like one big I'm a fucktard orgy of really big douchebags who want power. They're power hungry, bloodthirsty, fucking greedy as fuck. Like, what are we seeing here, right? Like, what are we seeing here? For the past 2 years, nobody stepped up to fucking help Palestine. I mean, Jordan sent a couple food drops. Yemen are really the only motherfuckers who are like, dude, those are our bros. And they've been retaliated against, right? So what we're seeing with Iran, I mean, Russia and China have already, BRICS is a thing that's important here too, because there's like this global push for if they're pushing for complete technological advancement, right, with the AI, we're seeing that. I mean, we're forced into AI. Let the history books show when people are like, why'd they let AI take over? We had no choice. The fucking shit has been popping up ever since January of 2020, last year. 2025? What year are we in? 2025. Ever since inauguration, AI has been popping up on every app, right? We don't have a choice. It shows up. It's there. Google. It's at Walmart. Sparky is the fucker. It's every single app has adopted their own AI. Like, Gmail is really creeping me out because I've been doing business emails lately, and there's like a whole AI recap, and I'm like, this is crazy. So it's this surveillance, while also serving as a way to distract and gaslight and discredit reality, right? I have a sticker collection that I'm making. I am producing my own goods because I want to be in charge of my own goods, and I'm really sick of being poor, quite frankly. I have a really cool sticker. I'm not ready to sell them, but when I am, they will be on Mayhem Market. I think it's at the very bottom. Don't steal my ideas. It is right here. Where are my stickers? Oh, here it is. Oh, it's right on top of all my stickers. I'm making a lot of products. Can't even read it. I have to change the font color. Yeah, you really can't read it. I got it. Well, these were my first run anyway. But anyway, it says reality is losing credibility, and it's a sticker, a bumper sticker. So these are all of my stickers. I'm making a whole lot, and I finally got clear shit to put over them. But anyway, all that to say is, yeah, reality is losing credibility on purpose. So you have these powers that be, whether they're corporate or nation state or different countries, they're all in cahoots with each other. And I think that's what the collective consciousness has been awakening to since Palestine. Palestine has been a catalyst for people to actually want to give a fuck, because the horror and atrocity is like something we've never seen before, right? Like, it's insane. And yes, we have all become desensitized because it happened so quickly. That's part of the tactic. So within all of these things, there's tactics. So remember, imperialism is the I don't want to say adopting, because it's not like people are like, yes, we want it. It's the placing, for lack of a better word, forcing, raping and pillaging. It is the force of putting God damn it, we ran through the thesaurus too many times. I don't remember what I was saying. Imperialism. Oh, it's forcing the policy, right? So you go in. I had an uncle who was doing some democracy work with the U.S. Army in Kenya. And there's one region in Kenya that is still indigenous, and they've had a lot of land rights issues. The Maasai people, well, I don't know how many indigenous people are in Kenya, but I know in particular what the Maasai people have been going through. Because one of my professors at Prescott College, Mary Poole, works directly with Maida May, who is one of the Maasai people. And she uses students from Prescott College and takes them over there, and the students use their privilege to go to the government offices and get the land deeds to help support, and they do research and they bring the information back to the indigenous Maasai, and they tell the Maasai, and so they're helping the Maasai with their land rights, keeping their land. I never got to go. I really wanted to, but I went to LA instead. But anyway, and I'm glad I did. I think I had a really intense white savior complex before I ended up in LA, and then I saw Skid Row and I was like, what the fuck? You know, before I went to my master's program, I was thinking about doing the Peace Corps, which again would have been a government-based peace. You know, that would not have been what I wanted. So I'm really glad with the way my paths turned out. Anyway, regardless, side quest. With the forcing of policy. So think about that in terms of AI and surveillance, right? So my emails between the one lady at the teen center, she and I have been back and forth, you know, about scheduling and about calendaring. Well, those are the same thing. About events and you know, availability and stuff. And AI has this little bullet summary, which uses our names and talks about what, like the shit. I can actually, let me pull it up for you. Also, I had something else that I thought was interesting. So I don't know if people are quite ready for like the militarization of the police happening, which is why when people are like, Kamala would have been so much better. This is a global move. Trump is a global move, okay? He's admitted to stealing the election, all right? Kamala Harris was also groomed by Hollywood, right? Trump is Hollywood, right? So, I mean, it's just crazy. There's a lot here, but the point of it is that logistics, now that they have technology in place, logistics serves as a surveillance, right? You buy something, you put your information in from one point to, it connects us all, but it's not being used in a way to build the world up. It's used in a way to only move things and make money, right? And all three of those things that I talked about when we read the definitions of colonization or colonizing, capitalism and imperialism and globalization. I don't think did we do colonization? I don't know. Either way, they all mention market and economy, which is fake ass bullshit. It's not real. Speaking of not real, that's what BRICS is on. I went on that side tangent. I think like a tree. I apologize. I have a main point as my trunk, but then I have a million fucking branches, okay? I'm like ADHD, but we're really just jumping. We're like a bird. We're jumping from branch to branch, my friends. Okay, let me read you this AI summary. Ashley offered support the teen center with art skills and mental health support, noting her autistic son would be present. That is in my AI overview. Blank confirmed that they would love to add Ashley to the calendar for classes over the next 3 months. Ashley scheduled multiple dates from February through May 20th, from February 25th through May 20th, including button making. Wow, that is so specific. Blank confirmed the button type for the flyers, and Ashley confirmed she would bring the necessary supplies. I did not ask for that. I did not ask for that. I don't use ChatGPT. I don't use AI. I mean, sometimes there's been a few times that I have intentionally shared TikToks that I knew were AI, but I myself have never used them. Now, my mentor is a big fan of ChatGPT, and I think that's interesting because there's a cognitive dissonance between his organizing work and the use of ChatGPT. And I'm like, what are you doing? Me and my other friend are like, oh, what are you doing, friend? But it's whatever. Nobody's perfect, right? We all have our things. Um, so anyway, we haven't gotten to fight back on this, right? So, now that they're putting these things in place, the ports are being more mechanically and technologically based. People are losing their jobs. The self-driving cars that they're fucking trying to create, right? So logistics has taken on this what is that, technocratic, that's what these rich fuckers want to do right now. They want to, they're destroying humanity and the planet because they want to have like a not human race to control because it's easier. They don't need human rights, right? They don't fight back. They don't bite the hand that feeds them. They don't even need food, right? Humans need things, and the planet is alive, right? Humans and the planet. So you have these motherfuckers, regardless of if you think they're reptilian or evil demons or just really bad people who got hurt by their moms when they were younger, whatever you think they're douchebags for, right? We've heard all of those things. I personally think that they're dinosaurs. Like, what if what if the meteor came down and it was like that nanotechnology and it like made the dinosaurs human, and that's why the dinosaurs like disappeared and we are being killed. I don't know. We don't, again, allowing mystery, right? Technocratic. Technocracy. The government or control of society or industry by an elite of technical experts, also known as a bunch of fucking incels that look like penises. Ugly ones. Ugly penises. I mean, I might be a lesbian. Anyway. Alright. Okay. Logistics. So, I remember one of my professors, she's like, when we were doing the San Pedro stuff, she's like, logistics is the new, I don't remember what she said, but logistics is a means for globalization to enact colonialism, capitalism, imperialism for the corporate powers and the nation states to combine. Okay? This is, alright? I mean, that's how it came out, so let's trust it. It's a means to, there's like a very non-linear reciprocal energy or like relationship between all of these things. So don't get held up on this like as a, this is the true model of fucking life. No, it's just they'll inform each other. Okay, I think I've hit it home. So I hope this helps. So in regards to decolonizing consumerism, think about like, I just bought a cocoa bean for Niall because he's obsessed with cocoa beans and he thinks they're like almonds. He every time he brings me an almond, he wants me to say cocoa bean, but it's not a cocoa bean. So I bought him a fucking cocoa bean finally. I found one on Etsy. So I'm really excited because I've never ever worked with a cocoa bean before. I've watched a couple people online work with them and you like have to peel it and stuff. So I'm really excited for this learning activity for us. It was only $13 and it is coming from Puerto Rico. And I bought it on Etsy, right? So I hope it gets through customs okay. But yeah, I think that's really, it's fascinating. But a lot of this stuff we don't know, Etsy's from seller to buyer relationship, right? For the most part. But, when you buy from Walmart, or Amazon, there's so much more logistics that go into that. And so if they're trying to convert all of those positions, right? Again, the ship captains, the train drivers, the car drivers, semi drivers, the stalkers, that's why I don't really like going to stores at all anymore. But the grocery store specifically, because it's a food item, it's shit that you need to eat, and so much of that stuff in there is not food. Like there's only a little bit of food in the grocery store. Those products, just because they've made them edible and taste good. I always used to say, like, your taste buds are like the ruling elite. That's that 3,000, and your whole body is the rest of us, the entire population of the planet. Just because it tastes good, they make that shit addictive, right? They make everything addictive so that you destroy yourself. It's a spiritual, physical warfare within your own body, buying these products that are killing you, carcinogens that like everybody just, it is what it is, right? And I smoked for 15 years, and a lot of my attitude around that when my dad got cancer was like, this man used to like measure out chocolate chips. Like, he would eat the serving size of everything. The man worked out every fucking day, and he died of heart cancer? Are you kidding me? Of course I'm gonna smoke. What the fuck? I've got nothing to lose. I'm gonna die anyway. That was my attitude. And I'm a mom. And I'm a mom to a special, kid who has special extra needs. Like, I have to live forever. Like, I can't leave, right? And that's why I'm working so hard at what I'm doing to establish shit so that Niall's set, right? Like, it's a lot of work. His dad's... Okay, I don't want to put anything out in the universe. But anyway, all that to say is, where was even going with that? Own your own means of production. Oh, the grocery store. You don't know... Okay, so, like, think about, let's think about a piece of produce. Let's think about strawberries, okay? Especially now with ICE raiding all of these farms and immigrant workers who have been destabilized from their own countries thanks to the soldiers that went through WINSEC and the SOA. Those are the same thing, they just changed the name. Because after 20 years, people actually knew what the SOA was, so they changed it. You know how they do it, right? They always change shit up so that people forget about it. And it doesn't help that the American consciousness is like 72 hours on a good fucking topic, right? And so Hollywood's job is to like illusionist us, right? But think about a vegetable. Okay, yeah, we're bouncing all over my tree, friend. You go to the grocery store and you buy strawberries. Someone had to plant those strawberries, but they're changing a lot of this stuff over to machinery, so that they can utilize the humans for labor, free, cheap labor, right? You've committed a crime because you're brown in the United States, right? You've committed a crime even though you went through the correct process to be here. You committed a crime by crossing the border because we we provided the weaponry and bombs to destabilize your country and your economy so that we could again get cheap labor. It's globalization and logistics. So if machinery takes over, when I go to the grocery store, I think about the people. And well, it's not just the grocery store. At this point in time, I'm very, very conscious of the means of production, the supply chain for particular items, right? I got this label printer from TikTok Shop. I got it today. So the person that I saw was the mail guy dropping it off at my door. Before him, there was people at the post office that helped sort stuff. Before that, there were people at a shipping company that helped sort stuff. And then drive it or put it on the train or put it in a crate or do something, right? Like, when we get a tracking number, we're watching everybody handle our things, right? And that's energetic is insane. If don't think about it too much. It's a little intense if you're not quite ready. But thinking about everybody who has touched an item, right? So that's why it's kind of cool to get the cocoa bean, because it's like from him to me, right? Etsy is cool. They do take like 10%. But still, so when we're thinking about decolonizing, we're thinking about being more aware. Again, your taste buds are the ruling elite. Or not just your taste buds, but any of your five senses. Those are the ruling elite. So the things that you like to touch, right? Like velour, right? Like, I want a velour jacket because I like the way it feels. Or like, I never want to touch a fucking microfiber fucking washcloth. Keep that shit away from me. I have to buy cotton washcloth. Right? Whatever decisions are going into the things that you're buying, it has something to do with your five senses, which are the ways that the controlling elite keep you controlled and, ignorant to this shit. And as we've been doing that, they've been circling around this idea. And 2020 was this beginning part of implementing a global scale. It's the first time we've ever really experienced and had the ability to communicate about a global experience, the pandemic, right? And it was the year 2020, and everyone's like, the veil, right? Age of Aquarius, everything is being exposed. But as it's being exposed, people are having to do their own internal work. There's a train right now, right? Everything on that train is going somewhere because someone ordered it, or yeah, probably, right? Whether it's a human or a fucking box of tampons that someone's gonna buy next week when they need it, right? Like, there's so many things, and it's all based within capitalism and globalization. And it's the imperialism part of it is like, because of all of this, they've completely capitalized on everything we need that the earth provides for free, to survive as humans, right? Every time we go to the bathroom, we have to wipe our ass with shit that we bought. Like, that's fucked up. We could do it with leaves or hemp, right? If we, there's more sustainable ways, and that's a whole nother topic for this course. I'm at about my time limit. I'm trying to keep these to like 45. And you're probably like, Ashley, do the workbook first. We wouldn't be able to be in the tree. Or the bush, if you will. I told you I wanted my hair to be big, like it reflects my ideas. Anyway, what am I looking at my phone for? So now that we're in the war, constant war is also another topic. I can read you the other topics if you want, so that you know what's coming. I have a lot of them, and I'll probably have more. And that's why I'm not doing a workbook first, because it'll be good to go back and do these. Alright, let me read you the topics I have. So this was colonialism and logistics, globalization and logistics. And then we had, the first one was name brands and slave labor. And then we did celebrities and influencers last time. And then today, next time we will do resource extraction. And then we'll talk about constant war. And then we'll talk about the myth of convenience, which we kind of talked a little bit about now, but we'll go deeper into that stuff. Pollution and climate change. Human suffering for the rich. Beware of marketing. ... even green. So we're going to talk about like the wind turbines and solar and more green technology. And then we're going to talk about tech and surveillance, which we also talked on here, or touched on in this one. We don't have to do them in this order, but that's the order I have them as they were coming through. So I guess if there's events that come up that align with one of those topics, I can come on and do that. But that, I don't really need to do them in that order, so let's chill. But those are the other things that we'll go into. I hope this helped you think, or be able to be open to thinking about things. You know, the more and more we either boycott or pull back or, you know, localize our needs and necessities. Like, I just got 40 planters. Like, I'm going to be planting the fuck out of my front yard. And my goal is to make it a shareable stuff, right? Like, I would love to create... I want to get one of those, like, Rubbermaid... you know, like, little shed closet things, you know, like the ones that are like a foot deep and like, you know, 2 feet long or wide. I want to get one of those and create like a community pantry in my front, and some other stuff. I'm really trying to, you know, be the change I wish to see. This town has a lot of churches and stuff, but I think, you know, one of my roles here in this community is to introduce the idea that community can just like happen in really organic ways. That doesn't need to be like organized from a top-down situation, whether it's church, school, or city stuff, which is really what people, you know, if it's not a church, that's something I've been struggling with since I've been doing events. You know, I do stuff through the college, and it, you know, everybody's talking about it, but like I offer things independently and everyone's like, what are you? Right? So part of this community, it's something that I'm called to do, especially with the influence of church being so heavy. I'm the political and church minority in this town. And, you know, I've struggled with it, but the other day I was like, oh no, yeah, that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm supposed to be agitating the norm in this area, and I'm happy to do so. It's, you know, I'm not like, yeah. So I think when we live differently than what people are used to, especially in small spaces like small towns, or it's a lot easier for word to get around, right? That you're fucking weird. But being the change we wish to see, really localizing our efforts as we do these things. You know, I bought the planters from Walmart, but, you know, so I'm not going to beat myself up. I buy things from Amazon. As much as I wish I wouldn't, it's the option. And I think that's an important part of this is, again, it's that imperialistic, you know, tactic of this is the policy. If you want stuff, you have to go through a big chain. But the more that we can start to lessen that impact, just by even being aware, right? Or second guessing, or seeing if we can buy something locally, or, you know, going local first. And I don't mean like local to a chain. I mean, like, do you have a like local thrift store? Do you have Facebook Marketplace, right? Like, are people already, you know, giving away or selling? Like, there's other things, and that's the thing about technology, is that we're letting these motherfuckers use it as a way to keep us imprisoned, and it's gonna get worse and worse, right? I mean, like, we've seen the Terminator. Like, this has been warned about. But regardless, where was I? You know, the more aware we are, like, I haven't eaten at McDonald's or Starbucks. Well, that's not true. I had to go to the bathroom the other day when I went to the bank, so we went to Starbucks. I was about to pee myself. And, and then Niall got a cake pop, so I did support them the other day to use the bathroom. And I was telling Niall, I'm like, it's customary in the United States that when you use a public restroom, you buy something. I said, you don't have to, but we will. But that was the first time in, you know, a long time that we've been to Starbucks. We don't support there since we found out. I don't go to McDonald's. I used to get Niall McDonald's. We don't do McDonald's anymore. We don't really do chains, you know. Occasionally we'll do Dairy Queen or Taco Bell. Sonic if we're on a road trip. But that's about it, you know. I mean, but I live in rural America. I don't really have access, right? So I'm not tempted. Again, those five senses. And they do that shit on purpose. The jingles, the colors, I mean, there's a psychology around marketing. Like, oh, marketing should be its own topic. Let's do that. Hang on. Let me write that down. Hello. I'm really proud of this workbook template. It's cute. Marketing. So I talked a little bit. No, I don't think I really did. Yeah, marketing. We'll definitely talk about marketing. I have a communication. My bachelor's is in communication. And everyone's like, you'd be so good at marketing. And I'm like, I want to do something that matters. Like, I don't want to fucking sell people shit. No offense to anybody that does. I mean, I am going to be selling people shit, but it's going to be my own products. Like, I tried to sell stuff. I tried, like, pyramid schemes. I worked for Pure Romance for a couple years. And mostly in business for myself. If you don't know what Pure Romance is, it's, like, women's pleasure items and other things. And, you, like, throw parties and sell dildos and shit. So, anyway, vibrators. A whole bunch of shit. Anyway, I threw 2 parties, but I was like, but I got samples. And I got them at discount. But anyway, I tried pyramid schemes. It wasn't really for me. But the woman I worked, my mentor in that business, is a multimillionaire. She's fucking, her husband has a helicopter. And, Melissa, you can see her she's on TikTok. She goes on TikTok live all the time. I watched her journey on TikTok because she started very slow, and then she's got like hundreds of thousands of followers now. She's amazing. She's so good at what she does, and she's so sweet. I love her. She's a twin. Her sister owns a pancake shop in Green Bay. But anyway, it didn't really work for me because I believed in the product, but I don't know why I wasn't very good at it. I guess I didn't. I just wanted to. Just wanted my shit. So I have to really believe in a product in order for me to sell it. And I think most people do. That's why people are like, everyone's so apathetic. Yeah, because we're all participating in late stage capitalism. Like, nobody wants to be here. Nobody wants to be doing this. So the more we can pull away from that, that's what what you're calling readings are over here. That's what that's about. Is like the more you can find a balance between what you want to do and what you have to do, and not just everything you have to do. The more you're going to be able to really make what you want to do your base. everything you need, right? Establishing yourself as a, pulling away from this economy in a lot of different aspects. I mean, I'm a hypocrite because I just got another streaming service. I have 3 streaming services, but in 2010, when I got out of incarceration, I didn't have cable, I didn't have internet, I didn't have anything. So I'm making up for lost time. I've never really been this comfortable as an adult at this point in my life. And I'm really proud of that, right? I'm not where I want to be, but, we're not where we used to be. So anyway, think about your journey. Think about the ways that you can start to decolonize, right? Start questioning yourself. Like, do I really want that, or did I see a commercial for it, right? Like, what triggered that desire within me? Whether it's a food or an item or, a societal pressure to, like, participate in something aesthetically pleasing because you feel bad. Like, this Ozempic trend. Like, I am seeing so many people losing weight, and I'm like, you look weird. So, like, be honest with yourself. You don't have to do shit just because everyone else is. And I think there's a crazy, and we can go through this again with social media, the influencer thing, because everybody on TikTok is, like, making commercials. Like, it's very uncommon. Like, I watch a lot of, like, spiritual people, but literally all of them are like, and go to astro.com, and here's this app for this soulmate drawing, and, like, a whole bunch of bullshit, right? It's, like, crazy, but everyone's trying to sell something, right? So when we start to pull away from that, when we work on our consciousness, and the way that this relates to spirituality is it's this reclamation of your soul. It's this reclamation of your own humanity, of the way that you exist in the world without having to perform for these fucking dinosaur child killing fucking sick psychos, right? Like, this shit's crazy. And the more we don't participate or try not to participate, again with the AI, a lot of this stuff is forced upon us. We're like, I didn't know Israel had fucking, all of this technology at the fucking border. We thought it was just a wall, right? So, like, these relationships between, again, the corporations and the nation state, right? I want this wall, but I need a company to do that. And it's all within this, like, technocratic bubble of, like, that's what the elite want to rule us in a technocratic society. We've seen the futuristic videos about this. Again, I'm gonna let you go. I'm really high and I have to go. Okay, bye.